Now, this is the third session of our JDBC learning, and then in this session we are going to learn about the 5 steps that we should follow from the program execution point of view in order to access the database remotely from the your host machine. Now, so we will see exactly how all those things can be done, but using some examples one by one. Different examples that we are going to cover in these slides are like how we can connect the Java application to the database server, in this case obviously MySQL only, and then how a table can be created, and then how the records into such a table can be inserted, and then how the results obtained from a table can be processed, and then the record can be updated, and then record can be deleted. All these things we have done in our first session of learning of JDBC, when we are just connecting directly from our console machine to the SQL server, but here we will do the same thing, but using our from program, not from the console. Now, let us first see exactly how the connection to the remote SQL server can be done. As we have already mentioned about this idea about that connection, as we see here. So, basically this is the guest login and password, that is the information that is required, and this basically shows the JDBC MySQL database location driver. Actually we have to connect it, and test is the name of the database, and then the connection class that can be created by using this method only. So, this basically return you the connection objects, and then connection object basically can be obtained using URL, username, password, which we have set in the last 3 statement. And then finally, we can have this statement console from here, system out.println usual database connection established successfully if it is there, and all these things should be put under try catch block, as I have already told you, in order to handle the exception if any occurs during any problem which may occurs during either this time or this time it is there. So, this way the connections can be established, and then so this is the method by which a connection can be done, right, and this is a simple statement that you have to follow. Usually in every Java application you have to include this kind of code in your program always. Now, let us see how a table can be created. First of all, the same procedure that the connection can be done. So, this is the statement that you have to include, and this statement follows the different statement like how the we can execute a statement here. As you see here in this example, so statement object is created using this statement. These 2 statements are to create a statement object. So, statement con create statement, this is basically instantiation, and finally execute the method of this statement can be used using passing the SQL command. So, this is basically SQL command, show tables. Now, the result will be returned, and this result will be caught in the RS result statement object. RS is basically statement that we have created here, and then we just scan all the result that obtained that is there in this RS, we can say array of results, we can say RS, and then RS dot next means we scan each elements in this RS array one by one, and then we can display on the console. So, if you can pass a while statement until all the elements are traversed, we will be able to do that, and then statement dot execute, another statement that we are going to execute after knowing that this table is there. Create table Java course roll integer primary key name varchar marks integer not null grade varchar. So, this basically tell you that new table can be created, and the name of the new table may be say Java course. So, this way the new table can be created, and then we can get it. So, all the statement that we have executed once using SQL server directly from the console, it can be executed from the Java program using this statement actually, and then the statement can be executed again after the creation is there. If you want to see exactly where the table is created, again the same statement can be executed, show tables, and then RS statement get result set, it will again return the result set showing all the table, and in this case you will be able to see that new tables which have been recently added can be shown in there, and then these are the things under the catch and try and catch block should be there, so that the exception can be handled properly. So, these codes are available readily, will be available. I will give you the source of all these codes in our next session when we will discuss. Then you can run all those codes and you can understand thoroughly one by one, so that if you can. So, that will give you a lot of practices to understand how the things is going on. Now, we will discuss about how a record can be inserted into a table, again from the Java application. You know how the same thing can be done from the console directly to the MySQL server. So, again here you see the connection type of object con, statement and RS. These are the three different type of objects of type connection, statement and then result sets. That is the things we have defined it, and finally, we create a connection here using the same method that we have discussed. So, connection is established and then finally, we execute the statement, and this is the statement object is created, and this is a select star from Java course. This is the SQL statement we fire from this program, and then it will return the results RS, and then we can browse the results through this while statement. Each record can be printed on our screen, I mean display screen, like using this simple system.out.println. Once record will be obtained, and this is the process by which we can get the values and then processing these values into the string. Actually, it will display all the results, and then once the result is, after the execution of this select star from Java course, we have to execute some other statement, like statement execute insert into Java course with value this one. So, that means here the 5 different statements, SQL statements we have fired, these are related to the inserting the records into the table. This is the initial table. It may, we usually if it is the initial table, it does not have any record. After inserting this one, it will give the records to be inserted into there, and finally, we can get result sets using this RS statement, and then result can be obtained after the result of this execution is there, and then the result again be processed using the again pressing, because it will process all the results that can be obtained from this one, and then result can be shown on the display screen. So, this way you can establish a connection, and then once the connection is established, we can fire lot many SQL statement to be executed, and then on the successful execution of each statement, we can get the result, and then those result can be processed using these are the few codes that we have mentioned here, and then finally, all those programs should be put into the exception handling try and browse mechanism. Now, inserting a record with another example, let us see how the things can be done. Again, it is the same as the previous one. We create the con and then a p statement. Here basically we have to prepare statement we have to follow. That means, we can read some values from the keyboard, and then statement can be prepared, and then finally, this statement can be executed. So, this is the pre statement object is created, finally, this is the statement, and then RS the result where it will be stored. So, these are the 4 objects that we have defined here, and this is the connection mechanism, few lines of codes that is obvious, it is there, and we can just simply make a connection, and then once this connection is there, we can execute some statement. So, statement is created, and then this is the SQL statement is fired from this. So, select start from Java course, and this basically first we want to see result before insertion, what is the data it is there. So, basically it will get all the records, those are there at the moment before executing any insertion. And now, we are going to take the input from the entries of the table Java course. First we give a prompt enter name, read the name from the buffer keyboard. So, from the keyboard the name will be entered, and then it will read it, and then this will store into this name, right. So, it is basically name and then grade and then roll number and then marks, everything can be read from the keyboard, and then their value can be temporarily hold there. And then the pre statement using this command, all these value that we have read from recently from the keyboard can be goes to these values. So, this is basically query string we prepared using insert into Java course roll marks number grade values is this one, all those values is question mark, those value will obtain from the p statement, all these get int, get string, set int, set string, and then finally, p statement execute update, means all the value that we have already stored, and we will go to this one, and finally, the entire statement will be executed. So, this is basically the problem, the statement that you can do it. And then finally, after this insertion is done, we can display the result. So, results after the insertion, again we can execute select start from Java course, the result set can be obtained again, and then this result set can be scanned one by one for each field, name, roll, marks and grade one by one. So, it will basically display all the records, including the new record that we have added into the system, and finally, it will try catch block, it is as it is there. Now, inserting a record into a table that we have discussed, how it can be there. And now processing a table, either we can do a lot of processing. So, basically the result data set that can be processed here. Now, here again same thing, we first import java.sql.start, all these things should be imported there, and this class basically is a Java application in this case, by which we can process any execution like, and these are the few statement here. As we see here, in this example what we want to do is that, say suppose already a table is there, and for each table all the marks is already there for say 100 records or whatever it is there. Now, we want to get the results, and then we can get the result from the server, and then bring all the results in our application end, and then make their average. So, basically this program will tell how the results can be obtained from the remote server from a table, and then the average of all the marks can be calculated, and it can be finally displayed. So, it is the idea. And so, this is the process that we are going to give a simple example here. So, these are the few statements as usual earlier. So, it basically establishes a connection from your application to the server, and then this is the statement object is created, and then we got all the results, because we need to fetch all the results. So, select start from Java course, it will basically fetch all the results, those results will be stored in RS result sets, and then results that can be obtained can be processed. It is like this as you see here. So, we just give the name, roll, marks and grade, they are all string, and then finally, we can convert all these things into the numbers form. So, total marks is integer % mark string. So, it basically read the results are there. So, total marks will be obtained for each records, getting one record at a time, and then getting the results are there. And then finally, total number of records can also be obtained. So, this is the formula get row from the result set. This basically says that how many rows that we have fetched it. So, this basically includes the total number of records are there. So, it is basically total number of students, and we in this statement, after parsing all the records, we can got the total marks, and then this is the total number of records, and finally, the average marks can be obtained by this one, and the same can be printed on the screen. So, as you have learned about that how the entire results from a database can be fetched into your Java application, and then some processing. It is just an example that how this processing can be done. There are lot many processing also can be done from the SQL end also. This average calculation is also possible at the SQL site also using some SQL command, but okay, this result also can be obtained and you can get it there. Now, here is the question, some processing can be done at the server end. If it is possible, you can fire those processing executing the statement from here and then get the result, or you can get the entire result in your end program, end application, and then compute it and then process it. So, both way it is there. Some things which is not possible from the server end, you can get it and then you can solve it, that is also quite possible. So, whatever the way the processing it is there, and the rest of the trailing part of the program is basically related to the exception handling. Then updating a table, it is basically how we can update command. Update command already you have learned about while we are studying the SQL statement there. So, first of all we have to create an establishment and then create few important objects like on, statement and RS for related to the connection, statement and result set storing. And then these are the basically string that we have declared to be used in intermediate way, and this is basically the 5 steps which is required for establishing a connection from your program to the JDBC server. And then we can use the statement as this one, this basically create a define a statement, and then this is the execution of the statement like select start from Java course. So, this basically shows that what are the entries are there, as usual earlier we have discussed it. So, this statement will be executed, the result will be stored in the RS object, and then this RS object can be parsed one by one, scanned, and then finally, it will display. And then here we just execute one more statement, is called the update. As you see statement dot execute, we are going to execute one more statement update, then Java course set marks. Here exactly you see update, this is the table name, and set the marks equals to 85, code equals to EX, where name equals to this one. So, that means it will find the record whose name is this one. If it find, this is the condition, upon the condition the satisfactory satisfying the condition, it will basically change this record with these values, and then after this update command is successfully executed, we can fetch all the records and see whether the results is updated or not. So, last few statement is basically execute the select start from and then rs dot next, we can again reply, we can see that whether the update command has been executed or not. If that data is satisfy this condition, definitely you can do it, and then finally it will updation is successful there. And again the try catch block is basically to ensure that the program is executed in a reliable and more robust way. And then deleting a record, it is basically how the record can be deleted. The same procedure we will follow. First of all, we have to create the statement object, and then connection objects, and then result set object, and then we have to establish a connection, and then using the statement object we have to fire the statement, SQL statement, in this case delete record. Now, here is the statement, here we create the connection object, statement object, result set object, and then these are the temporary variable that is required, and then this is the 5 steps that is necessary to create a connection, and all those things should be placed in the try catch block. And here now result before delete, we just see exactly what is the result, it is there, and then here basically we are creating we are executing one statement called the delete from Java course. Now, if we delete from Java course, this means that it will delete the entire number of records those are there in the table. If they delete some records from this one satisfying some condition, only that kind of records will be deleted whose condition is satisfied. But this is a very dangerous one, delete command, like it will delete all the records, but not the entire table, table will remain there. Now, here after this deletion is there, if we just simply execute this statement to get the other records, if it is there, if you see, then get result, and then again processing the result as is the same way one by one, you will see as this is not there. So, rs dot next will return null. So, null means it will not execute further this statement, and then it will do not give any print on the screen. And so, this is the delete statement as you have seen, and then deleting a table, and this is another command, it is there drop command, and again the statement, connection and result set is created, and this is the connection is established, and we execute the show tables, that means what are the tables are there. So, show tables, as you know, show tables, show databases, everything are there, you can execute it under your own login password, your authorization. If there are many databases, it is there, show database will show you all the databases. Now, it is there. So, results get result set, basically it will return you the result set, and system dot out dot println, it will show all the tables which are there including their table name. So, table in test will be there, and then table will be displayed, that means whatever the tables are there. Now, after these things we execute the drop table Java course, that means we want to delete the table permanently, whether it contains a record or not, it will remove the table permanently physically from the server. And then show tables, after this thing again same thing if we repeat, and then you will see that all tables are there except the Java course table is there, because Java course table has been deleted. So, this is the way the different statement that can be executed, and then after executing the different statement we can process the results. We have 3 sessions, we will discuss about demonstration, giving all those things in details, starting from the installation of SQL server, installation of JDBC driver, and execution of some SQL statement from your application. So, thank you very much.